Hi guys, and a very warm welcome to the Vibes Hub with Mel podcast this January 2025. I hope you've started out your year well. I'm Mel Miendo, and thank you again for subscribing to this channel. If you haven't, please press the subscribe button because we have so much in store for you this year. And to start us off, the year 2025. None other than Ngina Kirori, Senior NTV Reporter, who's going to Oxford in a few days. In this month of January.
Yes, as this is being recorded.
Ngina Kirori is a very special friend of mine. I'm so excited to do this first episode of the year with her. Thank you for coming.
I'm honored and I'm excited. I'm just here sitting watching you do your thing and I'm so proud.
Gina, you joined NTV when you were 12 years old.
Wow, Mel. First of all, we need to talk about that in very clear terms.
No, how old were you?
Mel, I was 24 years old.
When we met, you were 24?
Yes, I was 24 years old. That was in 2019.
2019?
Yeah, now I've given away my age.
So, guys, when Ngina joined media, she's coming from Media Lab. She'll tell us a bit about that. And she joined NTV, and we were attached to the hip.
Still are.
By one of the senior editors who was, bringing guys in and saying, okay, you're an intern, you'll be attached to this reporter. So she was attached to me. And here we are. Now she's a whole senior reporter. She's going to Oxford. She has won 1,500 awards. Please, what's been happening? I need to know. Tell me. But I'm so proud of you. I really am, and you know that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do. Thank you.
It's so amazing that you've been able to, wade those waters. I used to be so worried because you were so young.
And when you spent 1 week away from the office, Mel, like you're on leave, I would just suffer. I'd just be like, when is Mel coming back to save me?
But you've done so well. Even after I left NTV, you were still able to, carve a way forward for yourself. Tell me about that.
So actually what you alluded to in the beginning, a lot of people think that I started through Media Lab.
Yeah.
But actually I started as an intern at Nation. So I think I've mentioned, I don't know if I mentioned this to you, but I would walk outside Nation Center like a lot of people who really wanted to just get through the door. I'd walk through past Nation Center and I just kept saying, just get me through the door, because I really wanted to start working there. So when I completed university and I got the opportunity of an internship at Nation, I worked there for about 3 months. I actually started as a print reporter. So I was writing in there for the newspaper. And then I was moved to TV, which is how I met you.
Yes.
And then we were attached at the hip. Can we shout out the person who
Mariah
Kirori? Mariah!
We're here. Can you see us?
Mariah, so once I started working at TV at the end of my internship, I didn't know whether I was actually going to be working at Nation. From there on out, it was it was hanging in the balance a bit. And then Media Lab came up, so I saw it being published and being advertised, so I applied.
Yeah.
I got through, although it was a really tedious process, tests, interviews, such and such. And then finally I was accepted. Then I went through the program for about, I believe it was 6 months, if I'm not wrong. And then I finished, and then I was absorbed into Nation as an employee.
Yeah, and and here we are. Now you'll tell us about Oxford a bit later. But one of the things I've always really been so excited about for you is your ability to learn things so fast. I mean, you came in when I was in the crime reporting desk, and you were always just really excited to see what we're doing, and you ended up being a crime reporter as well.
Well,
were you following in my footsteps?
Let me give Mel her flowers. Let me give Mel her flowers, because this is a very important point, and I'm glad you asked me this question. Because so when you start working in the newsroom, and then you put in every desk to try and find out what you like. So I was put in business, I was put in environment, I was put in sports, I was put in politics. And then because I was tagging along with you so much, we went for a crime story.
Yeah.
Actually, no, the first story that you took me for was a feature story. And I was watching you do your thing and how you're doing the interviews and how you just brought the whole story together. And you do this without blinking an eyelid. I think you could do it in your sleep.
You think?
It looked like it.
No, you don't do these things in your sleep.
And then you do like one-on-one interviews with like people who are being investigated or people who are like persons of interest and stuff. And I remember also this, I don't remember which crime story this is that you did, but I needed some investigations. I think it was a student who had died on campus or something of the sort. And I tagged along with you, along with someone else from Media Lab. His name is Steve Otieno. So he tagged along with you and we watched you do your thing. And when I saw it on TV, I'm like, this is where I want to be. Like, I want to do crime stories. You know, like I really, really love crime stories. And apart from you, people like Dennis Okari who are in the newsroom, so many other people who are doing crime and investigation stories. Those are the people who really inspired me, because it looked like you guys could do it in your sleep, and yet the finished product on TV. If they only saw the behind the scenes, the work that was happening,
never that easy.
It's never that easy. So
how is that for you doing crime, especially knowing that it's not many women in Kenya who actually go into crime reporting? And at that time, you see, some of us had left the newsroom, so you were literally kind of alone, you know, like trying to figure things out. How was that for you?
So I actually didn't get to do my first crime story until I think about a year after, and by that time, like you've said, you had left the newsroom. It was around COVID time, so there's a lot of uncertainty. People were losing their jobs, people were getting unwell. So much was happening around us. So I think because of that, I saw an opportunity to actually pursue crime, because I had just been doing general news stories until then. So I remember my first crime story was about this nurse who had contracted COVID-19 because the hospital she was working in was not actually providing the correct equipment and the gear for the staff there. So she fell seriously ill and she was pregnant. So for me, I think from watching crime stories, and I really developed that passion, I saw the makings of something that was, one, important for the people in that sector.
Yeah.
And then also a good crime and investigative story just to start with, because it was looking deeper into the conditions of healthcare workers who were on the front line at that time. And from then on, it just started snowballing.
Yeah.
Like I would just start, I think once you do one crime story, then people start saying, oh yeah, even me, and then it starts snowballing. Because one thing I struggled with was getting sources. Very, very difficult. Sometimes you're in the newsroom sitting down for the whole day and you don't even get a story. So I wanted to avoid that. I wanted to actually have something that I'm bringing to the table. So yeah, it was difficult.
You're a chick for bringing to the table. This is what I'm bringing to the table.
Or I am the table. I'm joking.
The table is you. You and the table are one.
Exactly. So I know you've asked about, not very many women are in this field, and it's true. When you go to the field, sometimes you're the one woman who's there.
Always. Even when we go with you, you'd see that we are like 3 women and 15 men.
Exactly.
How did you manage that?
I honestly didn't think about it, because I think I told myself, if I keep thinking about the fact that the only woman there, and people will point it out to you, like, wewe unafanya nini hapa? Wewe msichana unafanya nini hapa?
Young girl, yeah. What are you doing here?
Exactly.
When you're dealing with police officers.
Oh Lord, when's that one? So I think I just stopped thinking about it, and in doing that, I just went with the flow and actually just achieved what I wanted to achieve. And then also seeing other women in the newsroom who are in probably male-dominated fields, like Ida Waringa was in sports, Leila Mohammed was dealing with security stories. There are so many different angles to look at it from. So it's just like, the more I think about my gender, the more it will stop me as well. So let me not think about it. Let me just go for it.
And I'm proud of you, and I'm proud that you did that.
Thank you.
And you have been winning awards. Me, I feel like there's so many, because every time I'm like, Ngina she won such whatever an award. It's like, I feel like, oh my gosh, you have so many awards.
Actually, not that many.
I know, like they're probably 5.
Less than. Please, that number, just lower it. It's a bit ambitious.
I don't. Let me tell you. In my mind, I'm like, oh my gosh, my baby girl is, because in my mind, it's always like, I always imagine you as this young girl who,
was 12 years old apparently.
And joined the newsroom, and she's so green and so new. She's looking around. Oh, what do I do? What do I do? But either way, I'm so proud of you, and even whether you say it's 5 or 4 or 3 awards, they're still awards. Tell me about the stories that won you these awards.
So the first story that I submitted for an award, it didn't win, but I submitted it. It was a story I did in Laikipia. I went undercover as a patient, trying to investigate the owner of a hospital, who is a nurse by profession, a male nurse, who was actually sexually assaulting his patients. So I had to go undercover. I did this in collaboration with a really great colleague of mine, and I think even a mentor would call him that, because he's the one who actually told me about the story, trusted me with it, and told me what I needed to do. Dennis Okari. So went to Laikipia, had to go undercover for 2 days, and I came out of it with that story. It's a very deep story. It's I mean, it's on YouTube, sad. So you can look for it. It's not for the faint-hearted, but yes. So the reason I submitted it is because the team that I went undercover with, because it takes a team. You know, sometimes you see the reporter on screen and you think that they did it all on their own. But when I tell you that the person who was with my colleague, I don't want to mention her name for security reasons.
Please don't.
I won't. And I want to mention my other colleague who was also there for security reasons. But the two of them, it was like a 10-man army. Like when we went in there, they looked out for me. They had my back. They didn't sleep because they knew that I was in there. They helped with other elements of the investigation, and it all culminated into that teamwork. So for me, that was a driving force for us to actually submit it and also amplify this story to help those victims, because I feel like once a story is out there and it's amplified like that, it helps the victims as well. So I submitted it, didn't win, which is also a good lesson, because I think it taught me that sometimes as journalists, we also get very caught up in the need for validation for your work and awards, and that taught me that you need to slow down on the need for validation,
and there's
focus
always
on your
such
work.
competition, you
So
know,
much.
everyone is submitting a story, and these guys have actually done, you know, people have worked tirelessly.
Exactly.
I mean, and then you don't get to win the award. You're like, how did you take it?
I didn't take it well, honestly, and that's why I'm saying I needed to check myself, because I needed to check myself and tell myself, look, your work and the people that you're helping along the way is the key. The key is not you being there in a ball gown and winning an award and getting praise. That's not the goal. So I lost sight of that for a minute, and I think it was important for me to not win so that I could understand that. And it's funny because now once I buried my head into work and, you know, actually telling those stories, and I love it with all my heart, I now won my first award.
Without thinking, like
without thinking about
weren't really focused on, oh, this one must get an award.
Exactly. Because there's that adrenaline of, you know, this is your first big story. People are praising you a lot. You can lose sight of that. So I needed to refocus a bit. So yeah, I won my first award, which is my only award, by the way.
It cannot be. That cannot
I promise
be. No,
it's my
there's
only
no
award.
way. There's no way. There has to be like 6 others. Why is it that we? Okay, in my opinion, I'm always like, Ngina Kirori wins the award. And the headlines in my mind.
I think the headlines are in your mind, and I think it's because you really hyped me up.
The headlines.
But what happened is there've been mentions of me at like award ceremonies and things like that, but not because I also slow down on submitting. I'm just like I don't really know if I want to get wrapped up in that excitement and validation and gifts, and I just wanted to focus. So yeah, I've only won one award. I've just been mentioned at several other ceremonies.
That's what you think. Ask me and the audience. We know you have won several.
Audience, submit the awards that I've won. Tell us which
we
awards.
Want to know. Show us. No, but it's interesting because you also mentioned how, you know, like some of these stories are very, you know, heart-wrenching stories. And by the time it's going, you know, on air, the producer, yourself, your entire team have gone through such, you know, hard times, tough days. And in my time, not many, I think actually it's very few of us who would probably go for counseling and, you know, like just sit down with someone and unpack what you've gone through. I don't know how it is for you. How's that been?
Well, I did go for therapy, I think, in my first year of starting to do crime and investigative stories, because you see a lot of gory things, you know, I don't want to get very graphic for the audience, but you see some gory things that stay with you and last with you, and you see that fine line between life and death a lot of times. And then you see a lot of cruelty, you see a lot of suffering and things like that. It's actually depressing. I remember one person telling me, honestly, Ngina, I love the work that you do, and I love that you have the passion for it, but I can't watch your stories. They're too sad. Like, they break me. And I'm like, it's okay, I understand you. But when I actually went for therapy, it wasn't because of the stories. It was just because of like housekeeping, just for myself. So I think I do understand that after doing this for a couple of years, I think it's actually important because you become a bit numb to the things that you see.
I'm telling you. Yeah.
And I guess maybe that's also your experience because you're also dealing in crime stories. So I don't ever want to lose that human virtue of connecting with somebody because I've seen so much. So I let myself be emotional sometimes when I do go for stories. I don't try to block it out like most people do. I just allow myself to feel it because I don't want to lose that feeling, because that's how I connect with the people I tell stories for and with.
Is the newsroom right now a bit more conducive for, you know, female reporters in that desk, the crime desk?
I would say yes. Yeah. Honestly, I've received incredible support doing my stories. I don't think there's ever a time I pitched a story and I was told no.
Oh,
yeah.
Can you imagine?
There's never a time. Like, I mean, that's
encouraging to hear.
It really is. So yeah, for me, it's really conducive. That's why I said I even forgot about my gender in a male-dominated field, because I'm just cool. Yeah, it's really nice.
Because I can tell you for sure, that's not how you used to be.
Am I allowed to interview you?
No,
Adam.
I can see it. I saw it in your face. Like,
I really have so many questions
I'd like to ask her. You will ask me off camera. But you know, it's actually the reason why I'm asking you that is because even when we started off the Crime Journalists Association of Kenya, I remember that time, you know, we weren't as many female reporters. But the beauty about that association, even until now, is that, you know, they're very conducive to female reporters in that field. And so that's why I wanted to know from you, like, in perspective, how that's been. And it's encouraging to hear that, you know, it's better.
It really is. In fact, one of my bosses says that women actually make better investigators. I mean, I could be biased because they sort of have like, they have this dimension of looking at things that most people would probably just breeze over. Like, they'll see a source and be like, no, I think there's something weird in that behavior, and they pick up on it. Things like that. Someone said they'd make better intelligence officers as well.
Yeah, so, and it's true. And once they go at it, they go at it completely. They don't stop, you know, like what you're doing. I mean, and I want to know from you, Ngina, is this what you want to continue to do? Do you see yourself, you know how sometimes we morph, journalists, we're always very, you know, like we can do 15 things all at once, you know. Some of us have gone into the communication space, some of us have gone into, you know, even like government and things like that. I don't know how that looks like for you, especially in this industry of crime reporting. Yeah.
It's interesting you asked me that, because the other day I was reflecting and I was asking myself, can I do this for 10 more years, 20 more years, 30 more years? And the honest answer is I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I love it right now. I've loved it in the past. I'm not very sure about the future, because we have to be honest about, you know, how the media, even globally, is shifting, and how the competition these days is not another media house. It's anyone with a phone. Anyone with a phone can outdo anyone else. Exactly. You know, so it's either you survive in that or you find a way to shift gears. So for me, I've been thinking about it, and I hope that the program I'm going for will now open up my mind to understand whether I want to continue to be in that line of work, or if I want to switch gears and look at it from another dimension. Either way, I love the media. I don't think that if I wasn't a journalist, I'd be doing anything else. And I hear this from a lot of journalists, and that's how I know diehards for journalism, the ones who say I wouldn't be doing anything else. But I hope I can, by the grace of God and whatever other force pushes me towards journalism. But I also need to take a hard look at the landscape of journalism and understand what else I can do if not this. Yeah.
So guys, Ngina is going to Oxford in this month of January. She will be among a few journalists, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think, are you the only African?
No, there's
There are a
someone
couple
from South Africa.
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
who I saw, but I'm
The only Kenyan.
I'm the only Kenyan.
Exactly.
So only 2 Africans, I think.
Yeah, can you imagine Reuters, a Reuters fellowship? This young girl, yeah,
Not so young
I'm
anymore.
sorry. Yeah, okay,
but
not so young anymore. I'm sorry. Just
I mean, by the Constitution.
you know, and you're going for this fellowship, and when I saw that they picked you, I was like, yeah, you picked the right one. Tell me about it.
So I saw the advertisement for the Reuters fellowship. It's at the University of Oxford. I saw it being advertised on Twitter. Then it was also posted in a WhatsApp group that I'm in, and so I took interest in it. It's not the first fellowship I've applied for. I've applied for several. My inbox is filled with a couple of rejection letters.
It's good you tell people that so that they know and understand. It's not a smooth road.
It's not. I know people glorify the struggle these days. Like, everyone wants to have a struggle story or whatever. I'm not going to say that I have suffered, but I have really applied. Like, if there's one thing I've really done in my lifetime,
is apply for fellowship.
Is apply for fellowships.
And here, at least you got one.
And you see, with with Reuters, it was the most difficult institution I'd applied to. So when I got rejections from the others, which were, you know, either shorter courses or, you know, even geographically, like in locations that were not as far off or whatever, when I got those rejections, I thought, oh no, I'm waiting for another one from Reuters.
A big one.
A very big one.
Coming.
Oh gosh. I didn't even want to look at my inbox. So I applied for it. It was also quite a lengthy process. You have to, you know, write out, you know, letters. You have to send in different modes of applications and things of that nature. And so I applied for it, and then I got shortlisted. And when I got that shortlisted email, I just said, thank you, God, this is more than enough. Even if I don't get it, this is more than enough, because I hadn't been shortlisted until that point. And I remember when they shortlisted me, I said, this is a challenge to myself to improve my idea.
Yeah.
So I went back at all those times that I was rejected. And you know, sometimes people tell you, we can't tell you because we can't tell you why you are rejected because there are so many applicants. So I looked at the ones who told me why I was rejected. And then I looked through those points. And I took a hard look at that project, and I'm like, I need to improve it. So I spruced it up, I looked at it, I angled it differently, and then when I was shortlisted, I gave in that, you know, new and improved version, as people say. And then I got an email one day, and in the title, it didn't say what the news was. I was like, okay, here we go again. And then,
was it a long one? You know those ones for hi? Do they call you Hi Ngina?
No.
How do they say? Dear Ngina. Dear Ngina Kirori. Both names.
they're applicants, no.
Oh no, okay.
No.
They don't know you. They might know you.
My name. I'm joking. So when you open an email and then you don't see what the body of the email is, so it was only the title, and in the title it didn't have congratulations or, you know, it just had news about your applications. My goodness. I took a moment.
Here we go again.
Yes. So I took a moment. I remember I was at my desk that day at work, and I opened it, and then I read the news, and it said, congratulations, you've been selected for a fellowship at Reuters Institute at the University of Oxford. And when I tell you, I was shaking, like shaking.
I'm so happy for you.
Yeah.
My goodness.
I can only imagine how I looked to other people in the newsroom. I must have been like, why
You
is this
read
girl?
it? Oh, you were in the newsroom?
Yes, I was.
Oh my goodness. Oh wow. How did you, you know, like, it's interesting because you say that you've been applying, then you get this, and you're like, oh my goodness, finally here we are, you know.
Yeah.
Now you're actually going to actualize this story idea that you had.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah, exactly.
How long will you be there for?
So I'll be there for about, well, we can call it 7 months. It's more like 6.5. Should be back by around August or July latest. Not August or July latest. And
so do you get to produce the story while you're there, or you come back and produce the story here?
So it's actually not a story that I'm producing. It's a project idea that I have. So what they wanted is people who have an idea or an innovation that they want to research around, which they will facilitate and help you actualize. But it has to be like, it's almost like when you go for your master's and they tell you, research on a certain topic. So I'm going to be researching on this topic of my choice, and the topic is, because it's already out there, so I can talk about it. It's about how to make news a key content pillar for children.
Oh,
because my theory is with Gen Z, people are always questioning why doesn't Gen Z like news? Why do they like this content?
Yeah,
whatever. It's because we lost them. We didn't actually either tailor make news to what they wanted, or we didn't instill that in them when they were kids.
Exactly.
You remember, for most millennials and even the generations before that, we grew up with news blasting on our TVs
every single time,
Exactly. And it was so embedded in us. Like 7 p.m. that TV better be on news. 9 p.m. it better be on news. So I thought about Gen Alpha, and I thought about, and there are generations that will come behind it, or after it. And I said, how do we make news like a value for them? Because it's important. It doesn't have to be from a media house. It just needs to be something like information that's important for them, especially in environment matters, politics, science and technology, sports, business, every single sector you can think of. Children actually need to understand what's happening in those sectors. So I submitted that as a project idea, and that's a project I'm going to be researching.
Amazing. I love that. I love that. That's such a huge idea, especially because of the fact that, as you say, very few young people watch news. And I feel like sometimes it's also because of the kind of news that we produce, because sometimes you'll be watching the news and you're like, from story 1 to story 5 is all about murders and deaths
guilty
and words, and so half the time you're like, bruh,
it's too much.
Nah. Gen Z, you think they're gonna sit and actually they're like, yo, but that's what nothing,
Sure.
So I feel like it's such an opportunity for you, and this will even help other journalists across the board to relook at some of the content that we probably are the ones producing, so that we can also bring them in to show them that news is not always all deeply sad stories. There's other things that make up the news.
Exactly.
So congratulations.
Thank you.
I can't wait to see how that unfolds.
Thank you very much. I'm excited.
And I think, especially for the fact that will you sometimes guys go for fellowships and then you say, let me just continue my work from there. Are you coming back? Should we expect you back on our screens?
Well, that is for the seeds of time to decide. The seeds of time will decide.
That's a story for another day.
Sorry for another day.
Ngina Kirori.
I don't even know that. It's dependent on so many factors. But the plan is to come back.
The plan.
However, the seeds of time could decide otherwise.
I feel like that. Have you ever done a story for the seeds of time? You said it like 15 times.
Have I?
I don't know. I feel like
said it right now.
There's no story for to do the seed of something.
What was that? You need to look for it.
Anyway, the seeds of time will tell us if Ngina Kirori will be back on our screens telling us these investigative stories. But what else are you looking forward to as you go there? If you can share that with us. Yes, you have this major project that you're working on. What else are you hoping to achieve?
I'm really hoping to network.
Oh yeah.
Really hoping to network, just because I think sometimes as journalists you're almost trained to be stingy with your ideas, with your thoughts, with your stories and everything. But then there's a time I was involved in a transnational investigation from different countries, and I saw the strength in that teamwork and everything. So I'm hoping to establish networks so that even if and when I come back, if there's a story I need from this country, if there's a story I need from that country, it will strengthen how to tell stories and everything. So I'm really looking forward to networking. I'm also looking forward to exploring the resources and just researching on this topic, which I've thought about for so long, and I really just wanted to find out, like, how do I actually make this happen, especially for the upcoming generation. I'm really passionate about it. So I think above and beyond, that's what I'm really looking forward to.
And I'm sure you'll achieve all that and so much more.
Amen.
Yeah,
Amen.
I believe that you will.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ngina Kirori, Senior NTV Reporter for now. Let me tell you.
What do you know that I don't know, well?
Let me tell you. Let me speak into your life. Oh.
Amen. But disclaimer, Nimela amesema. Si mimi.
Editor, please, it was her.
Editor, it was her, please.
But thank you, Ngina. Thank you so much, and I wish you the very best. I know you'll do amazing. I can't wait to see what that project does, not just for this country, but regionally and internationally as well.
Thank you.
I got you.
Thank you.
You know that.
You always
okay, no, one day, yeah, there's Mel Miendo and there's this podcast.
Hey, vibes with Mel.
They better recognize. So yeah, guys. So I hope that we'll get to see Ngina and experience just what she will have experienced. When she goes to Oxford, she can tell us the story when you come back. Yeah. Please, I can host you even I can go there. By the way,
yes. Why not take vibes with Mel to Oxford? The Oxford edition. Yes.
By the way,
yes, let's make it happen.
Thank you guys for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Mel Miendo is my YouTube channel. This is Vibes Hub with Mel, a podcast that looks at different stories from different people, talking about those seldom told stories and hanging out with the likes of Ngina Kirori. At Mel Miendo on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn.
Hey, all those. Zote.
But I'm not get TikTok.
Hey,
like any reels needs a podcast. I don't, I'm like, my podcast is what will be on these social media platforms.
Oh my god!
So I think it works.
Well then, I'm very, very proud. Very, very proud.
See you guys next month for another edition of the Vibes Hub with Mel podcast. Ciao. Bye.